I think that on the one hand, Plato, you know, Plato has said some good things,
Hmm.
and he believed, for example, that the chief end of man is union with God,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
be conformed to God as much as it is possible for a creature to be. Well, that sounds a lot like the first question and answer of the Westminster Shorter Catechism to me.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
He believed that we have souls and that souls live on after our bodies. He believed that God is the efficient cause of the universe, not only the final end or goal of the universe, but the creator and providential preserver. There are all sorts of points at which you say, oh, boy, Plato really corrupted Christianity.
Hmm.
Well, yeah, he did bring in this Orphic dualism between body and soul, and the hope that we can escape this prison house of the flesh rather than it being raised
Hmm.
on the last day. There are points at which, like deep and many points at which Christianity just has to say no to Plato. But you compare him to the other philosophers, and he is the kind of the only game in town you can do business with
Hmm.
in terms of apologetics. So it makes sense that Christians, if they were going to have to speak a language of their day, that they would prefer to use Plato's categories than someone else's.
Hmm.
But it has had a tendency to kind of a corrupting tendency as culture, culture can't be all terrible because God created it and he sustains it.
Yep.
But it can't be fused with Christianity because it's part of uh our fallen labors. So we have to what do we do? Well, we have to use wisdom and discernment and say, well, we can go with this, but not with that. Well, no, we wouldn't say it like that. That sounds Platonic,
Mhm.
so on and so forth. There's a lot of Platonism, a lot of that people don't even realize is Platonism. This Orphic
Yep.
dualism between body and soul. People now use terminology like passing away.
Mhm.
Christians believe people die.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Only dead people can be raised.
Hmm.
People who pass away can't, there's no resurrection for people who pass away.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, we believe in death and resurrection. So, um, we're very Jewish that way. Christianity is,
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
we're not Gentile. Um, Tertullian in the second century called Christians a third race. And I think that's a good way of us thinking about this. We have to always realize that Christianity is different, it's distinct, but we have to use the language God has given us in his providence where he's placed us. And sometimes we have to find bridges,
Mhm.
and Plato was a better bridge than others. Sort of like the line from Churchill, democracy is a
Oh, that's
terrible form of government except for all the other forms of government.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. True thing. The inner thing is the true thing, and the outer flesh is the thing that can pass away.
Yeah, the true me has nothing to do with my body.
But kind of a lot of the gender stuff that we're going through, where it's the inner soul is the true me. Like I feel like this, but the outer
Mm.
body doesn't show that. And
Yep.
it's you may not. I think us Christians will just like lambast that. It's like, well, how could you possibly think that? I was like, that's the cultural waters. The cultural waters are the Orphic thought, where the soul is the true thing, the inner thing is the true thing, and the outer flesh is the thing that can pass away.
Yeah, the true me has nothing to do with my body.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that of course I'm not qualified to talk about the psychological
Yep. Totally. There's more to
aspects.
it. Yeah.
There's more to it, but definitely there the psychology itself has been formed in a culture that is very much shaped by this dualism of soul and body.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
if somebody if somebody makes the argument that I am the real me
Mhm.
disagrees with the mere appearance of me
Mhm.
on the outside, I'm going to have to say I'm sorry, that's a Gnostic doctrine.
Yeah.
If you're Christian, Christians don't believe that.
Mhm.
Um, and here's why. Here's why we don't. Um, but I think a lot of people assume we do.
Hmm.
Don't, a very famous conservative evangelical pastor uh has so we meet God in the realm of the spirit. He also says we only continue to sin because we uh are still souls in a physical body.
Hmm.
Or you have people writing books like He That Is Spiritual, um talking about the flesh and the spirit in Second Corinthians 3 in terms of the 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 immaterial soul and the external physical. I mean, you get it all the time.
Mhm.
Um, where do you meet God? Meet God in my spirit,
Mhm.
not in physical things like
Mhm.
preaching and water with baptism
Mhm.
and bread and wine. I don't. That's not where I meet him. I meet him alone in the garden while the dew is still on the roses, and
Yeah.
he walks with me and he talks with me and tells me I'm his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other. Are you serious? None other has ever known. Really?
Yep.
And you invent your own religion. You had your
Yep.
own experience that no other Christian has ever had with Jesus. It's so personal, so unique that no other Christian has ever had it. That's a sure sign that it's heresy.